Sorry, that groan doesn't have to do with the quality of the movie. It's just London is so hot. Yeah, sorry I've been taking a while to do this review. It's like, Wednesday now? It's just the UK is in a heat wave and I'm genuinely boiling like a baked potato. I have my window closed right now and good gravy. But maybe the reason why I'm boiling is because this movie was so heat. Yeah, no, the movie wasn't like that good, but it was good. So I don't really have a script, so I'm just gonna kind of jump straight in. So, Toy Story 5 is a 2026 American animated adventure comedy drama. Okay, I'm not gonna go into that. But yeah, basically Toy Story 5 is the next sequel in the Toy Story pentology now. And yeah, it doesn't undo the ending of 4. I think, to be honest, I think this is probably the weakest Toy Story movie, but I mean, the weakest Toy Story movie is like, the least good ice cream flavor at a 5-star ice cream place. I don't know, some type of analogy like that. But I still thought it was pretty good and enjoyable. I'm glad that they don't try and make this another send-off film, because, like, let's be honest, we all know that's not going to be happening. But I wouldn't mind if we had a trilogy of Andy, 1, 2, and 3, and then a trilogy of Bonnie, 4, 5, and 6, and 6 be the last one, but let's be honest, that isn't happening. But yeah, also I feel like the way Woody was incorporated and coming back into this was rather natural about him, helping out Jesse and the others. And whilst it's kind of a logistic problem of where on earth did he get that walkie-talkie from, I think I can extend my disbelief a bit to believe that. When I originally heard about how Woody and Buzz were going to be bickering about being Jesse's deputy, it sounded a bit annoying, but when I watched in the actual film was a much more bearable, as it felt a bit more like old friends bickering instead of like having it be very serious. But also my friend who I was talking to made a good point about how it's sort of Woody's whole arc in 4 was giving up his role as deputy, but then suddenly in this one he just kind of wants to go back to being deputy. But yeah, I found the whole subplot with the Buzz Army, whilst it didn't really add much to the film in the first hour, I think their scenes were very fun to watch. But I will agree that a big complaint with many people is that the film does kind of feel a bit mismatched in the first hour. And since I knew that going in, when I watched it, it wasn't as jarring. I mean, it still felt a tiny bit mismatched, but I think all the plot lines neatly tied together in the climax of the film. And that's not to say all the different plot lines are bad or anything. I found them all enjoyable, especially Jesse's with the Conan O'Brien Smarty Pants character. He was probably one of the standout characters. And also, we all love to hear Paradox's voice on the big screen. Sorry, I just finished watching Steven Universe, so I've kind of been on a Steven Universe kick lately, but that's besides the point. But yeah, I found all the subplots really fun, especially with Woody and Buzz trying to take down Lily and, as said, the Buzz Lightyear subplot. The film also takes a very nuanced approach to the idea of tech and showing how, whilst tech can be very bad, it's also a great way to make friends and everything. And whilst I think that's good, one thing I think could have been explored more is about how tech is going to be in this world forever. The toys can't stop it. And whilst that is sort of hinted to of how they get along at the end, spoilers by the way, but I mean, there's still all these households where tech still runs rampant over toys and nothing's properly done with that. Now, whilst that does sort of give room for it to develop on number 6, I feel like they should have just done the development here so Toy Story 5 can be the one about tech, and then whatever they want to do about Toy Story 6 isn't sort of like still holding on to development and ideas from Toy Story 5. On the sake of development, whilst I think Jessie does have good development in this, there's a scene near the end, near the climax of the film, where she's sort of at the tire swing, and I'm recording this a few days after watching this, so I can't fully remember exactly what she says, but I feel as though she kind of comes to that conclusion without properly getting all the development. I think it's something about how, I may one day leave Bonnie, but I can still... I can't remember. If someone in the comments can remind me down below what it was, but I just feel like they could have done a bit more development for Jessie to reach that point in her mindset. That scene also at the tire swing where Jessie sees that her owner named her daughter after Jessie, that was so sweet. All the stuff with Jessie and the soundtrack was really sweet, and as always, the soundtrack was amazing in this. And again, on development, I think Lilypad had a really good character arc in this, as she's not really a villain, as more so an antagonist, but she's still just doing it for the benefit of Bonnie. She's also like Toy, just wanting to be there for Bonnie, doing the best for their kid. And with Lily sort of being shown as wanting to do the best for Bonnie, but sort of not realizing that she's also hurting Bonnie, it sort of helps to influence that nuanced approach the film takes to tech. And I feel like this goes without saying, but as always, the animation is incredible for this. Everything's so lifelike, everything's just amazing. Like, it's just what you regularly expect from Pixar. As well as the comedy it's definitely probably the least funny Toy Story movie, I'd say. But at the same time, the Conan O'Brien character is still really funny. As, again, this being the weakest Toy Story film is just like having a good meal in a restaurant owned by Gordon Ramsay. But even though this is good, the thing about it is that all the other Toy Story movies, it felt like there were big stakes. It felt like a very grand adventure. Like, number 1, you have all Andy moving away. Number 2, it's like a big journey to get Woody back. Number 3 is the big finale where they're leaving Andy. And then number 4 is Woody's big character arc. And it feels like this one doesn't have that grand of scale. It feels more like if this was a Toy Story TV show and this was maybe a 3-part episode special. I mean, that's not to say it's bad or anything. I still think the film is really good and the story is good. I just don't feel it really has the grand scope as all the other Toy Story films have. But I think that's kind of all I really got to say today. I still had fun with it, but I think it is definitely the weakest of the Toy Story films. So I think all in all, I think I'm going to give Toy Story 5 an 8 out of 10. It's a very low 8, like really low. But I could see it probably going down to a high 7 on rewatch, or who knows, maybe we'll go up to a high 8. But I think for now it is definitely the weakest of all the Toy Story movies, but it's still really fun. So, and we all know this isn't going to be the last one. This is already making bank at the box office. I think it made over 250 million in its opening weekend. So yeah, I guess we all better get excited for Toy Story 6. See you in the next one, guys, and have a good one.